Hey, it's Pete here. I've got a tag to do because I haven't done it in a long, long time. I've been very out of the loop, but I noticed that Kevin Tolles tagged me on this one a week or so ago. I don't ever look at my mentions. I don't look at my mentions enough. They don't show up on my notifications for some reason, even though I've changed the settings many times to try and get them to show back up, but I have to go in and look for them. Anyway, this was a tag called Oh, the Places You'll Go, created by the famous Gareth at Books, Magic, and Books, Songs, and Other Magic. It's a great channel, which I'm sure you all know well. And like I say, Kevin tagged me. Thanks, Kevin. And I'll see if I can do a good job on it. I think I'm going to skip some. I read through these a few days ago, but I haven't looked at them since then, so this is really fresh. So, of course, the prompts will be in the comments as well. So the first prompt is which the places you'll go is the phrase, the title of from the Dr. Seuss book, or as Harlan Ellison says, the Dr. Seuss book. Anyway, and the first prompt is which direction you choose. Book prompt: what's the first place you go to in a bookstore? Each of these have a book prompt and then a life detail prompt, which I may be circumspect on some of. Anyway, what's the first place you go to in the bookstore? It definitely depends on the type of bookstore. If it's a used bookstore, I definitely go to the science fiction section first, because I love old, small, mass market science fiction paperbacks from the 60s and 70s. Those are my favorite kind to look through and to explore, even though maybe I would say at this point in my life, have a little more preference for mystery fiction or even different types of literary fiction. But if I'm looking at old books, if it's a big sort of chain bookstore in the United States, I will most often go to or it doesn't have to be a chain bookstore, I guess, but a big bookstore that has a big staff, most likely of young people, where they have a staff picks section. I always go to the staff picks section in a new bookstore to see what the kids are reading, to see what the people who work in bookstores are some of the best people on the planet and some of the best readers on the planet, and they're always excited about books, and I love seeing what they list. I assume they do this the world over, not just in the United States, but they'll have a book out there faced front out in a section, and there'll be a slip of paper on it from one of the clerks with the name of the clerk and why they love the book. So I never miss that section. And on this prompt, then there's a life prompt. What is the biggest life decision you've made that has impacted your life? Oh, sorry, just reeling through my lifetime of regrets. I don't know if there's any one thing. I really don't. I would have to say leaving home at age 18 was probably the biggest decision I made because it was the first big decision I made. I don't know. Anyway, next prompt. Too smart to go down and not so good street. Too smart to go down any not so good street. See, this is why I don't read more on the channel, because I have terrible reading comprehension. So the book prompt for this one is what did you used to read that you don't read anymore? Maybe I should have read these through and thought about them for a minute. Well, many kind of books. You know what I used to read a lot of, which I haven't in years, and it's really not even a genre that you see that much anymore, at least I don't, is plays. I used to read a lot of plays, printed versions of plays. Probably even going back to middle school, I think. I saw I was a fan of the Odd Couples TV show, and I learned that was a movie, and I learned it was a play, and then I discovered Neil Simon plays, and of course at that time there was no video, no recorded video, no way to see plays in Reno, Nevada, for the most part, except like a school production or something. So I did add, but plays were printed a lot more then, back before they could sell CDs and DVDs and things. So I did read a lot of Neil Simon plays. Just read them as little comic short novellas, all dialogue. They were very fun and easy to read. And for many years I would go through playwrights. I read Ibsen. I read all the Scandinavian Ibsen and many classic playwrights of that era. I read, of course, much Shakespeare. I read that many, many times. I haven't read any Shakespeare in a while, but who else? George Bernard Shaw. I read all his plays. His plays were printed. I wonder sometimes, I could have this wrong, but I think a lot of George Bernard Shaw's plays were written almost as much to be standalone books, because he wrote, and his most famous play is probably Pygmalion, but he would write 100-page introductions to his, 5-act plays. And of course I read all the Greek playwrights, Aeschylus, Sophocles, Euripides. Really love those too. Don't revisit those much anymore. I probably should though. And that was something I used to pursue, and then Irish playwrights like Synge, if I'm saying that right. I used to enjoy it a lot, but I don't read them anymore, or buy them anymore. Books got too expensive at one point, so that even if you're probably going to buy a single play now, I don't even know if there are single plays really being produced very much anymore, except maybe like the Samuel French Players editions, but they're like 60, 70 pages long, and the trade paperbacks probably cost as much as a regular trade paperback. But it's just something I think I probably read as a good number of world classics, theater classics. Maybe I just ran out of them. Anyway, okay, so there must be a life prompt with that. Okay, what have you learned either as a hobby or in education that you valued the most? Yeah, I'm not going to do a good job on these because I can't think of one single thing that turns out. I would say reading is my hobby and my education for the most part. I mean, I took classes here and there, and I have some education, but I think mostly reading on my own is how I learned everything. So what could I say on that? Okay, next one then. You'll be picking great sites. Book prompt: pick a book with an attractive cover. I picked loads. Oh shit, I didn't do that. Maybe I've got some screenshots on here. I usually do have some screenshots of books I've been recently reading. See if there's anything here, and I'll just have to be what's on here because these are the best. Oh boy. Well, you can't see what the title is because of the glare here, but this is Wuthering Heights. But you can see that the Penguin format, which is always an exciting format. These classic old Penguin formats. Oh, just so beautiful to look at. Here's a Pelican Shakespeare. This is for another video I was going to do. Oh, maybe it's for this one. I put all this. Can you see this one? Nope. Okay, okay, this is a cool looking cover. I don't know. I don't really have any books, so I can't really show you nice covers. Oh, this is one I remember from my childhood. This is the one I had as a kid, I think. The Martian Chronicles. I think I forgot to flip the screen, so it's going to be backwards, right? But that's a famous old cover. It means a lot to me because it's the one I read. I can't remember what I downloaded all those books for. It was probably for another tag video that I never did. But anyway, oh boy, now I lost my prompts. Okay, so that was the attractive cover. So that's kind of my thing. Is old mass market paperbacks are the most beautiful books to me because that's what I started reading probably. I mean, the first thing I probably read was like Hardy Boys and old kids paperbacks like that. But the ones when I started buying adult books, that's the era. I wish we were still in that era. But fortunately, many of those books still survive. those old editions still survive. They haven't decayed to dust yet. Okay, so the life prompt for that was, what is the most beautiful place that you've visited? Well, many beautiful places in the world that I've visited, and some of them are the closest to home. If you've never been there, and you can get there, Hawaii is a most beautiful place, maybe the most beautiful place on earth. But I've been much more exotic places too. But coming into on this trip, when I retired 2 years ago, flying in over Iceland and into Scandinavia and down into Stockholm, there's really fewer places more green and beautiful than Scandinavia, than Sweden. Just this dense, dark, rich, beautiful green forests, and it was spring, so the skies were clear, and just an incredible view. Mostly I like architecture and things like that too, but in terms of just natural beauty, I think that might be the most beautiful thing I've seen in a while. But looking out on in Hawaii from Diamond Head, from the top of Diamond Head, that's pretty incredible too. So is the Empire State Building, whatever. Maybe I'm being too literal with the way these are, like, what is the most beautiful this, the most important this. I have many, many great memories, so I don't know if I can pick any particular one. Okay, so you'll be best of the best. Book prompt, what do you feel confident that you know a lot about with regard to books? Well, having spent time on BookTube, I would say nothing, because whatever I could think of, I know there's anyone much, much more knowledgeable than me, but I think I am pretty well versed in old SF, science fiction in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. I know most of the authors, even if I haven't read them. I know who the important authors are to have read, the ones I've missed that I shouldn't have missed, that kind of thing. Less so in crime, because crime's such a bigger category. All the time I'm reading about, or I'm hearing about, crime writers with very, very long careers whose work I know nothing about. So I guess I'll say old SF. And definitely not fantasy. Is a much broader category than I'm aware of, than what I'm aware of. All right, so. Okay, regard to book. Okay, life front. What would be your specialist subject on Mastermind? I think that's a quiz show, right? Mastermind must be, from the context. I'll say that. It would probably be. I think I could just do popular entertainment if that's a category, like in Trivial Pursuit. I would be happiest on the pop culture questions. I like trivial stuff that is unimportant to know. That's my biggest category in life. I know a lot of shit about irrelevant stuff that does not help you in any way. Okay, except when you don't. Book prompt. What kind of books do you feel that you don't relate to? YA books. Contemporary YA books written for young girls. Where there's a young heroine woman who's in love with two guys. One's kind of a simp, and the other's a jerk. And thinking of Hunger Games, something like that. And usually some kind of twist that either the simp steps up and he's not such a simp anymore, or the jerk turns out to be not such a jerk, or something like that. And that's kind of and I'm not disparaging it. I'm saying that's kind of, those I'm not the audience of those books, and I never was, not even at that age, even if they had those books back then. I think those books are great for the people that they're written for. It's kind of perplexing to me sometimes that they're so popular in the wider culture, but I read a few of those kind of books just to try and keep up with the contemporary writing before I decided I didn't really need to do that for any reason. And the stakes don't seem very high, even though they're high for the characters, but I just don't relate to them, which makes sense, right? Why would I? Anyway, but I think they're great for the people who like to read them. They're written for maybe young girls or for women who want to go back to the time in their life when they did have those same kind of feelings, much like if you're a middle-aged man who reads Conan or Indiana Jones novels or whatever, that you want to go back to your adolescent boy roots and relive that spirit of adventure. So I think it's the same kind of thing. Okay, so that's what I don't relate to then. Life prompt: what is something you've stopped doing or that you've given up on? Oh, I've given up on everything. Everything. What haven't I given up on? Yeah, I've just given up on everything. I have nothing anymore. That's a joke. I mean, I've given up on, all the things that most people give up on by the time they're in their 60s. It's like trying to impress other people or trying to be interesting or trying to fit into society, just trying to get along, just trying to enjoy life and not worry so much. I think I've given up on worrying. I don't know if things just went away or what, but just things don't bother me much anymore. There's still more things I'd like to give up on. I'd like to give up on getting upset about politics, that kind of thing. It's really a waste of energy. But I've given up on a lot of stress-inducing things. A lot of things used to bother me that don't bother me anymore, but I don't want this to become a psychological unburdening channel. Anyway, okay, the waiting place. This is, I think, like a bonus question. Book prompt: name a book you're excited to read that's on your TBR. Okay, let me look here. I'm just going to go randomly into my Kindle app and see if I can find the next book on my list or the upcoming books that I most recently bought. Something I'm really looking forward to reading. Loading too slow. Retry. What's going on? Well, this is pretty on time. This is pretty much on topic. For everything else I always talk about on this channel, I really shouldn't. Trying to think of something more original, something more surprising that I can put in here that I'm really looking forward to starting. But there's this book. I have no idea what this is or why I picked it. I checked it out from the library. I just marked it as red for some reason. It's a book about writing called Several Short Sentences About Writing. Okay, I apologize for this. I'm gonna have to, next time I do a video, I'm gonna have to move to another location. It's a style guide. I really like reading those sometimes. Okay, this book I just mentioned has an opening epigraph, a quote from Joyce Carol Oates. It says, "The subject is there only by the grace of the author's language." So it's a writing guide, probably a short one. I kind of like reading those sometimes. I bought this book. This is a book I bought. Oh my Lord, why don't you open up? Okay, there's a anthology. It won't open up. What? Kindle hates me now because I've done too many videos complaining about Amazon, so Kindle's conspiring against me. There's a book I found for $1.99, The Collected Boxing Stories of Robert E. Howard. It'd be very nice if I could show it to you. It's just his boxing stories. Why do I keep showing you these blank? Okay. Screw it. Anyway. Can you see it now, sort of? Looking forward to that reading, kind of a little bit. I don't think I'm going to load this one. This is a terrible video. Okay, almost done. Life prompt. What in general are you looking forward to the most this year? It's getting a little bit more organized on fitness and things like that, exercising a lot more. I've been doing that lately. It's not that fun yet, but the weather's warming up, so it'll get more fun as I go along. And then balancing act. Talk about balancing your time between general life and putting out content on BookTube. And not really an issue because I don't have a job. I'm balancing between doing books on BookTube and just laziness and my equipment limitations. Right now, I can't even get the camera on this Chromebook to start before on my regular profile. I have to log out, log in as a guest on my own computer. And so it's not really a time balance. It's really like enthusiasm balance. I could spend more time on BookTube. I sometimes feel like I don't have anything to talk about. So I hope this isn't too dumb of a video. But I gave it a shot. Anyway, thanks very much to Kevin Toll for tagging me on this. I'm looking through the people he tagged. Don't think I'll tag anybody because I don't want anybody to watch this. Just because they were tagged in it and be stuck watching this because it's not a very good one. I'm going to do another tag. Hopefully that one will go better. But anyway, I gave it a shot. Thanks, Kevin. Talk to you later.